though.
Hi everybody, it's your boy Onyx here, and to bringing you part 2 of what Deku was in Girl Bravo. I know this video is a lot shorter than the other one. It's not being an hour like the other ones. It's because I got less and less motivated to record this part of the what if. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Right, we are going to begin with the heroes versus villain test, where they are deciding to make teams, as All Might would have told them to pull out little balls from this box just like the original. The other thing that would be changing here, instead of Ochako being on Izuku's team, it would have been Kirie, as Izuku and Kirie would have walked next to each other, as they would have explained what they might be doing, as All Might told them they would be going first. As All Might explained to them who would they be facing, it would be the same team just like the original canon, Bakugou and Ida. In this counterpart, Izuku wouldn't give too much of a shit about Bakugou, but he'll still make an effort to try and change him. As Izuku and Kirie was both talking to each other so they can decide a plan, as All Might told them their time was up so they had to go in. As Izuku and Kirie was both walking around, Izuku was saving his one for all just until Bakugou arrived. As Bakugou was shouting down the corner, "Where are you, you damn nerd? I want to test your full power, god damn it!" Bakugou shouted down the corridor. "Never we discuss Kirie?" Izuku said, as Kirie ran down the corridor, running the opposite direction from Bakugou, as Bakugou was trying to chase after her. "Come here, you bitch!" Bakugou shouted, as Izuku would have punched Bakugou right in the stomach, knocking him back 10 feet, as Bakugou would have gained his momentum back by using an explosion. "You damn nerd!" Bakugou shouted, as he full powered punched Izuku, but this doing nothing because of One For All's durability when it gets passed on. "That tickled," Izuku said, punching Bakugou back by using 8%. As Izuku said, "You gonna give up, Bakugou, you villain?" Izuku shouted at him. "I'm not losing to someone who only awoke in their quirk 5 months ago," Bakugou shouted. "Come at me then, it looks like you're losing at the moment, you villain," Izuku said, as we skip back to when Izuku and Kirie was talking about their plan. "Alright, Kirie, I'm going to distract Bakugou as long as I can, so you can get the bomb. Ida probably won't be as much trouble as what he should be." As Kirie would have agreed to this with a red blush on her face. "What happens if Bakugou gets a one-up on you?" "Trust me, he won't. If he does, I'll just knock him to the ground, like we did in middle school," Izuku said. As we cut back to present time, with Bakugou getting back up on his feet. "I'm not losing to you!" As a red light popped from Bakugou's gauntlet. "You think you can beat me, you damn nerd? Take this!" Bakugou said, pulling the pin out of his gauntlet, with All Might shouting at him. "Bakugou, don't pull that trigger, you'll kill him!" All Might shouted. "It would be fine if he dodges." As Bakugou pulled the pin out of his gauntlet, letting out an entire array of explosions coming to Izuku's way, as Izuku would have gone to Saitama's signature serious punch stance, as he would have said, "Detroit?" Noticing people's eyes perked up at this. "Smash!" Izuku said, as a giant gust of wind pressure came from Izuku's fist, knocking all of the air back, sending the explosion back at Bakugou and also dispersing it. "What the fuck?" Bakugou shouted, getting to his other gauntlet. "Bakugou Katsuki, you pulled that pin, you will be disqualified," All Might shouted. Bakugou said, scoffing at All Might's words, as Bakugou would have ran at Izuku full power, as Izuku would have had enough of this, doing what All Might did to All For One, but with less and less power in it. I would say around about 10%, sweeping Bakugou's legs from under him, punching him right into the face, knocking him to the ground, unconscious, as Izuku would have wrapped Bakugou in the capture tape, as All Might would have said, "Hero team wins!" "GG's," Izuku said, as Izuku would have grabbed Bakugou by the collar and dragging him like a wild mutt, as Bakugou would have woken up 15 minutes later in Recovery Girl's office. "Damn it, damn it, damn it! I lost to the damn nerd!" Bakugou said in a furious rage, as we cut to Izuku after the training, or the Heroes vs. Villain arc, as Izuku would have been crowded by his classmates again, stating that his power is super similar to All Might's, and is he All Might's secret love child? As most of them would have perked their ears up at that, stating that he could be, as Izuku would have retaliated saying, "Actually, I don't have a dad, he's overseas," Izuku said, as most of them thought, "He's All Might's kid. All Might's not my dad," Izuku said. "Anyone can get quirks, like, randomly. Mine just has to be similar. Mine's just super strength, that's the thing it is," Izuku said. Through that day, all lessons would have been the same like canon, as break went around to lunchtime, as Izuku would have sat at the table with Ida, Ochako, Miharu, and the other brown-haired girl, I keep on forgetting her name. I'm pretty sure it's Kyrie, as Izuku and them all would have been chatting, as the fire alarm would have gone off like the original, with a third year asking them, "Why ain't you three moving? Come on, let's go." One of them would have said, "What's happening?" As one of them would have retaliated saying, "This has never happened even once in my first year of UA, or even my second year. This is only the first time it's ever happened," the third year would have said, running to the door, as they would have all been cramped up into one area. Izuku would have tried to find a way out of this, as Izuku would have stared at a platform, as Izuku shouted to Ochako, telling him to levitate him to that area, as she did so, throwing him in the process of that, as Izuku would have been thrown on the top of the stop sign, shouting at everyone to stop, and it's just the press outside trying to get an interview with All Might, as all of the people there would have calmed down and gone back to what they were doing before, as we cut to there, where they're deciding the class rep, as just like the original, Izuku and Momo would have got it, with Izuku getting 3 more votes like the original, as Izuku and Momo would have stood there telling everyone how thankful they are for him to have this position, as Momo would have sulked saying, "Ah, come on, I just had 3 more votes," Momo said, as Aizawa woke up from his sleep telling everyone to get changed and get into their sports or hero uniforms. They will be going to a certain place, as Aizawa would have wrote on the board stating USJ, as Ochako would have said, "Universal Studios Japan, cool." Ochako said, "No, USJ. The training facility, anyone heard of it?" As they would have all said, "Oh." As they would have all gone changed into their hero costumes, leading Izuku and everyone else to the bus, where they have all been guided on by Momo and Izuku, being put into alphabetical order, as Aizawa got into one of the seats as he told the bus driver to set off, as Aizawa just fell asleep for 25 minutes before they arrived, and through those 25 minutes Aizawa was fast asleep while the students were talking. "So Midoriya, what's your quirk?" Mineta said in a very perverted tone. "My quirk is super strength. It allows me to create little wind pressures that I release when I use powerful punches," Izuku said. "Wow, that's so cool. I can get elated with that," Mineta said, as Izuku would have turned his head saying, "Creep," as Kyrie would have sat down right next to Izuku, breaking the rule of sitting in alphabetical order. She would have said, "Hey Z, what's up?" Kyrie said. "Nothing much, I'm just sat here talking to a pervert," Izuku said, as Kyrie would have leaned into Izuku's shoulder, placing her head on his shoulder, saying with her left breast. Izuku felt this and blushed a tiny bit, as Sue would have done the same thing like the original, saying his quirk is similar to All Might's, and Kirishima saying his quirk is not flashy, as Aizawa would have woken up around this time, telling everyone to just shut up and get off the bus, because they have arrived, as Aizawa got off the bus leading all of his classmates or class there, as Izuku and everyone else would have walked in like the original canon. Araka seeing 13 and she would have got excited, going to all fangirl mode. "That's our 13, the rescue hero," Araka would have said, as Izuku would have looked over saying, "Who's 13? As Araka would have gone to death stare. "Who's 13? She's almost the best hero ever. She was the first hero to go into outer space," Araka said. As Kirishima would have looked downstairs to see a portal opening. "Hey, Mr. Aizawa, are we also fighting fake villains as well?" Kirishima said. "Wait, what?" As Aizawa would have looked down to see a black portal opening in the middle of the USJ facility. As Aizawa would have told them these aren't fake villains, they're real villains. As Aizawa told them all to get out of here. Just like the original, Kirigiri would have appeared in front of the door, blocking them way out, and also teleporting most of them away, leaving Izuku and Kirie there, unlike the original. As for the people who would have been teleported, in their place would have been Uraka, Mina, and Soji would have been teleported to different areas. As Aizawa rushed down with his scarf enabled, as he took down most of the villains, them being on the floor. As Izuku saw Aizawa struggling, so he had no choice but to help out. But Kirie grabbed his arm saying, "Izuku, don't do it. You're going to get yourself more in bother," she said. "I can't just sit here and let Aizawa get hurt this way. It's inhumane," Izuku said. As Miharu would have been teleported as well, so she couldn't say much here. As Izuku would have been out of Kirie's grasp, as Izuku instantly charged up to 35%, rushing down the stairs, disappearing out of everyone's view. The moment Izuku rushed down there and appeared right in front of Aizawa, punching one of the villains out of the USJ. "Midoriya, what are you doing here?" Aizawa told him to go back up. As Izuku said, "I can't let you just sit here and get hurt, Aizawa. Your fighting style's not meant for this. You're better off getting two people that's stronger to help you out," Izuku said, as Aizawa just sat back and just let Izuku help him out with this because he knew Izuku could handle himself because of how much raw power he has. "You take my back, I'll take yours," Aizawa said, as Izuku would have agreed to this, as Izuku got into his fighting stance, as he charged at the rest of the villains. Every single villain that would have attacked Aizawa on his back, Izuku would have took care of them with minimal ease. Shigaraki would have noticed this, getting pissed and scratching his neck, saying, "That's bad." Shigaraki said, scratching his neck, saying they are cheating. "Kirigiri, bring out the big one." "Yes, Master Shigaraki," Kirigiri said, opening a giant portal, bringing out a hulking behemoth, muscles bulging out of his body, scars everywhere, and he looked like he was a mutatable monster. "Nomu, kill them all," Shigaraki said. The Nomu said, charging at Aizawa, as Izuku would have noticed this, charging up to 60% as much as he could, and charged at Aizawa, managed him to get out the way just in time, as Aizawa would have said to Izuku, "What's wrong?" As Aizawa would have looked around to see a hulking behemoth that looked like the same size as All Might. "What the hell is that?" Aizawa said. "Midoriya, go." "Now," Aizawa said. "But Aizawa, you need help with this one," Izuku said. "It looked like a powerhouse." "Nomu, what are you waiting for? Kill them," Shigaraki said. As the Nomu started to bolt at Aizawa and Izuku, with the Nomu noticing Izuku, it would have gone for him in this timeline. The Nomu would have tried to punch Izuku, but would have been blocked by Aizawa, with Aizawa being flinged back 10 feet, but he was still heavily injured with a broken arm, as Aizawa would have told Izuku to get out of here while he still can, with Izuku saying no, he needs help, with Izuku charging 65% one for all and telling Aizawa he's staying and fighting, no matter what he says, he's staying. As Aizawa couldn't get through to Izuku, with Izuku just charging straight at the Nomu. "Nomu, kill that brat!" As he charging at Izuku full power, with Izuku clashing with the Nomu, creating a giant dust cloud of blood pressure. "Kirigiri, try and get near that brat," Shigaraki said, telling Kirigiri to an order. As Kirigiri couldn't get near them, with the fight pursuing like All Might did in like the original, but replacing him with Izuku. As Izuku got flung back by the Nomu, but still a bit injured, but it still didn't affect him as much. As Izuku coughed up a tiny bit of blood, sending him to one knee. Aizawa, get the students out of here now, Izuku said. I'll hold him off as best as I can. Midoriya, you're acting suicidal, stop that. As Izuku would have looked at him with a death stare. Get them out of here now, Izuku said, as Izuku tried to get back up, which he exceeded at. I'll hold this thing off as best as I can here, while you go and get the other heroes and bring them here, as best as you can. As just like the original, Ida would have made it out on time, bringing All Might with him with the other teachers. Bring it, you bird shit, Izuku said, charging back at the Nomu, with this time 70%. Ah! Izuku shouted. Detroit! Smash! Izuku said, as Izuku created a giant wind pressure, sending the Nomu back at feet. As Izuku uses to an advantage, charging back at the Nomu, using more and more percentage of one for all. 71, 72, 73. As Izuku threw a 73% Detroit smash at the Nomu's head, sending it flying back. Is that the best you got, you damn bird? Izuku said, as the bird, or Nomu in this case, charged back at Izuku using the same percentages it always has, 100% of its power. God damn it, Izuku said, charging back at the Nomu, this time using 75%. Ah! Izuku shouted. Delaware! Smash! Izuku said, straining his finger, turning it brown, as a giant air pressure came at the Nomu, knocking Kirigiri and Shigaraki back. As all of the students were shocked at this, seeing how much power Izuku really had. At this point, Kirie was now scared for Izuku's life, her trying to run after him, but Aizawa stopped her. Stop there, Kirie. If you move down there, you're going to die. Why is Izuku down there? He should be up here with us. There's no point in that now. Izuku's made up his mind. As all the students was looking at Izuku and shocked, he's willing to risk his life to save them. As Miharu looked at Izuku. No, Izuku! Miharu shouted. As Izuku just gave him a thumbs up and a little weak smile as Izuku recharged in at the Nomu, fighting it like All Might did in the original. As Izuku just went all out, using 80% of his power, this hurting Izuku beyond repair, as Izuku managed to get 250 hits in before he had to get flinged back again. As at this point, Ida would have gone to the UA campus and asked All Might and told him to go to the USJ villains are attacking, as All Might would have rushed there as fast as he can at 100%. As the moment All Might got there, he saw a Nomu flying out of the USJ building. As we come back to Izuku before All Might arrived, as we see Izuku fighting the Nomu at full power, as Izuku had a bright idea to try and knock the Nomu off balance, but the Nomu grabbed Izuku's left arm and broke it like a twig. Ah! Izuku said, as Izuku got flown back a little bit, but he regained his balance by doing a flip. As his arm was flinging around the air like paper, as Izuku would have charged back in at the Nomu, this time using all of One For All's 100% in his right arm, and he just shouted, Delaware! Detroit! Plus Ultra Smash! Izuku shouted at the top of his lungs, sending the Nomu flying out of the USJ building facility. As we cut back to when All Might arrived in present day, as All Might bust down the door to see his successor bleeding out on the floor, as this really pissed off All Might, as All Might rushed down to Izuku at 100%, knocking out and almost killing the rest of the villains that were there, as All Might had the attempt of killing in his eyes. As All Might rushed to Izuku's side, seeing his pulse was faint, as All Might saw two villains rushing at him, this being Shigaraki and one lower class villain, as All Might punched Shigaraki in the stomach with 15% of his power, knocking him, flying him out into a wall, crashing into it, breaking it on impact. As for the other villain, his head would have been decapitated instantly. Holy shit, that's the #1 hero's full power, what the fuck? One of the lower class villains would have been shaken in fear. You dare, All Might said in a furious tone. You dare hurt him. I am going to kill you, you villain, All Might shouted, as All Might threw a 100% smash at the villain, throwing him back, knocking him out. As all of the teachers would have arrived, seeing Izuku in the state he was in. Around this time, the ambulances would have arrived, taking Izuku, as All Might just stood there saying, "It's all my fault I wasn't here." "Damn it!" All Might said, shouting at the top of his lungs at the sky. "I wasn't here in time, it's all my fault," All Might said, as Aizawa came over to him, still his arm broken, with his class as well, stating that Izuku saved their lives and without him, we would have died, Aizawa said, as we do a time skip when Izuku's in the hospital, as Izuku's in a comatose state for the past 2 days since he fought the Nomu. Since then, Kirie's been walking in and out in a sexy nurse costume, because she still thinks Izuku's a pervert in this timeline when he's really not. When Kirie was taking care of him that day, she realized Izuku let out a little groan. Kirie, Izuku said with a very faint tone, as Kirie ran to him saying, "Izuku, you alright? Izuku," she said, holding his shoulder. "Izuku," she said. "Yeah, I'm up. What's wrong?" he said. "Oh my god, you're alive," she said, hugging him with tears in her eyes. As Izuku just looked at her saying, "What are you wearing?" Izuku said, looking at her, as Kirie just blushed madly. "Well, I thought this would help you wake up faster, so I decided to wear this costume for you," she said, pouting, as Izuku tried to get up, but he stood still in pain. "That hurts," Izuku said, as Izuku tried to snuzzle up to the bed, trying to just sit up correctly, as he had to get Kirie to help him, as Izuku was blushing like mad. Holy shit, she's hot, Izuku was thinking, as Izuku heard a knock at the door, as the door opened to see Miharu and Miharu's sister, as they both jumped at him. "Izuku, you're awake," they both said while crying. Wait, don't jump at me, that's gonna hurt like hell," Izuku said as they all jumped on him, as Izuku writhed in pain. As we do a couple of days time skip when Izuku's discharged from the hospital and he's through rehabilitation at home. Izuku's just still learning how to use his right arm correctly because of the nerve damage that the Nomu inflicted on him. And now Izuku's arm scar that he has in the original is now there. Now Izuku can't break his arm 3 more times. If he does, he'll have to get it amputated. As Izuku was at home sleeping, at the next day he had to go into UA to do his first class after the USJ incident. Izuku walked into the building getting stared at by the other students, with Izuku feeling a little bit nervous getting stared at, but he still had Kirie and Miharu next to him. As Izuku walked into class, he was bombarded with questions from his classmates, as they all were thanking him that they survived because of him, and thanks to them they've actually survived. But the only problem is with it, Izuku's right arm was still a bit spasmy. Aizawa walked into the room with only his arm in a bandage, as Aizawa walked in thanking Izuku for saving him. As Izuku went to go sit down on his desk, as Aizawa told them all they'll be doing the sports festival today, as they were all told to pick their hero names and go outside so they can go do the sports festival, as Aizawa would have told everyone like the original. Unlike the original, Izuku's hero name would be something different. I'm gonna let you guys decide what Izuku's new hero name would be, so leave your comments in the comments section what Izuku's hero name should be. As everyone else went outside to go get ready, as they all get ready for the first event, Izuku was standing there getting ready to be called up, as Midnight shouted, "Izuku Midori, the class rep, come onto the stage and do an announcement," she said, as Izuku walked up and told everyone to do their best and go plus ultra, as the sports festival would have begun, as midnight would have rolled a little wheel stating that what they would be doing. They would be doing a race first, as Izuku said, I got this in the bag. Same with Kirie, Todoroki, and everyone else would have stared daggers at Izuku. As we cut to present Mike, All Might, and Aizawa's point of view. Hey All Might, do you think this was a little bit too much for Izuku to do? He did have the option not to do this. Why the hell did he pick to do it? Because he wants to be more known. He wants to be a symbol of peace one day, so he wants to show everyone this sort of injury doesn't affect him. As everyone else was standing in the cramped hall, as Izuku would have grabbed Kirie and Miharu close to him so they don't have to get trampled on the way out, as Midnight would have said 3, 2, 1, go, as everyone else would have run outside in a speeding hurry. Unlike the original, Izuku wouldn't have been trampled. He would have jumped over the crowd, getting in first place with Miharu and Kirie behind him in first and second. As Todoroki was picking up the speed, Izuku decided to break the floor underneath him, making Todoroki trip. As for the 3-pointers, Izuku would have destroyed 2, with Kirie destroying 1 and Miharu destroying 1 as well, leaving 3 0-pointers there for Todoroki and Bakugou to take care of, just like the original. Izuku would have gone first, Kirie second, Miharu third, Bakugou fourth, Todoroki fifth, Tenya Ida sixth, and everyone else was like the original but more further back. Now this is where the story would change. Instead of Oraka being picked as Izuku's teammate and Tokoyami, it would have been Kirie, Miharu, and Mei. And there's a massive difference here, with Izuku having 70% control of One For All. Izuku would have destroyed most of the area, creating a giant dust cloud so they can hide their presence, as Mei would have used her babies to actually fly in the air, getting height advantage, getting first place in the cavalry battle. As for the fights, Izuku vs Shinso obliterated in the first round. I know I'm not adding much detail into this because I want to add more detail into the internships, because that's where the story differs. As Izuku would have piled through the rest of the rounds, all the rounds going like cannon, with Kirie managed to contain her 5th place in the sports festival. As Izuku and Todoroki fight, Todoroki would have put up a decent fight, but Izuku would have won nonetheless. As for fighting Bakugou, Izuku would have annihilated him with a couple of punches, with only using 15%. Bakugou was beyond pissed at this, so he decided to fire an explosion at the crowd, this royally pissing off Izuku, disappearing out of everyone's sight, reappearing, knocking Bakugou clean out with one Detroit Smash. As for everyone else's leaderboard, Miharu 7th, Deku 1, and everyone else would have got the same things like the original. Now this is one thing that will be changing from the original, is the internships. Izuku would have already trained with Gran Torino, so he really doesn't need it. With All Might being stronger than the original anime, All Might would have probably just asked Izuku if he wanted to intern with him, with Izuku agreeing to it. As Izuku would have gone to Kirie, Miharu, and asked them if they wanted to go back to Miharu's world to train there, as Miharu and Kirie would have agreed reluctantly, as Midoriya was asked to pack some stuff, as he would have set it off for his adventure to Miharu's world, as All Might and everyone else was waiting in Midoriya's bathroom. Yeah, I see where this is going. To Miharu to open the portal, as Miharu concentrated enough as she opened the portal to the Girl Bravo universe or world, as Izuku, All Might, Kirie, and Miharu both jumped in as they came out on the other end. The moment they came up, they were all heavily breathing. Holy crap, that gets worse every single time, they both said in unison. As Izuku and All Might both got out of the bath, soaking wet, as they both started to strip, taking all their clothes off, leaving their boxes on, of course. As Miharu and Kirie both blushed and turned away, as Izuku looked back to see Kirie's soaking wet blouse, as Izuku just had a nosebleed. All Might didn't pay much attention to it because he is not a pedophile. And you guys may be wondering, why the hell is Izuku going to this universe to train? Well, the time difference in this universe is really different to theirs. Like 5 hours in that world is like 2 minutes in the real world. So it's basically like a type of hyperbolic time chamber, but more worldly, I'd like to say. As their training began the next day, as Izuku kept on getting stared at by the local neighbors and everything when he exited the house with All Might. As Izuku was walking down the street, he consistently got chased, with Izuku losing them in a matter of seconds. "Oh, that never gets old," Izuku said, as Izuku was walking home, which he got chased once more. As the moment Izuku got home, he told All Might the world's getting a little bit more crowdy, as we'd like to say, because they know we live in this area, Izuku said. This is where we're going to leave the video off today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys want more of this series, just hit the like button down below and just tell me in the comments section if you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.